Welcome to coffee. Come on in. Grab a chair. Hurry up because there's so many people. There's not enough room for everybody. Anyway, I am really pretty tickled about this subject. And I hope that it tickles your interest too. But I think it will because we're all in the same age group for the most part. And I know that there are some young people in this group, but they're here because they enjoy learning about what it's like to be our age and what it was like. So what the name of this video is, or what the subject of this video is, schoolyards and games that we played in the schoolyard. Now, there's a lot of other games that we played. I'm only going to talk about the ones that we played in the schoolyard because we're going to deal with those other ones at another time. So, do you remember marbles? You had a cat's eye and you had, what was the big one called? The shooter? You had a shooter. It's all coming back to me now. And I remember digging a little hole and then putting rings around the hole. Am I saying this right? And then we would take turns trying to get the ball into the marble into the hole. I loved playing jacks. I loved jacks. I had jacks. I played with jacks all the time. And it was a lot of fun. We used to play, if you can believe this, the school that I went to, we're talking elementary school, that's all we're talking about. Because we can't talk about every single thing in this video because I have to have things to talk about. So I'm splitting it up. So, elementary school. Oh, the school that I went to, we had separate entrances for the boys and for the girls. And we had to stay on ours, the girls had to stay on their side of the playground and the boys had to stay on their side. Have things changed. Anyway, so we played jacks. Have you seen the jacks that they sell now? They still sell them. They're nothing as good as the ones we had. They're like these cheapo things that you could never... I used to love getting... What you do is the way you play jacks, you get one, then you get two, then you get three, and you have to bounce the ball. And you got so skilled at it, you could bounce it really high so that you could swoop more of the jacks in as you got up to the numbers. I think there was just 10 jacks. But, I mean, if you could do that, you were pretty impressive. And that was a lot of fun. And just about everybody could compete in that, even me. I felt like I didn't participate in a lot of things, but as I'm thinking about things, I think a lot of that could be just a perception, something that we felt rather than was actually true. I don't know, because I can't go back there. But I do remember playing jacks, and I remember playing marbles, and I remember being good at it. I think we should get some jacks. But you can't buy jacks now that are decent. They're all this very lightweight plastic. It has to have some substance to it so that you can grab them and they don't fly all over the place. And so it can be fun. And the jacks were metal. They were probably lead. Who knows? But they were metal and they were colored. I don't remember if there was like a special, like, head jack or something. But for some reason, I think that there was like a bigger jack, but that could be wrong. They used to have jumbo jacks too. So, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I don't think I ever played jumbo jacks. How could you get a jumbo jack in your hand? You couldn't get 10 of them in there, that's for sure. Anyway, jump rope. Now, I bet there's not one person out there that hasn't jump roped, unless you were unable to. Once again, I don't want to insult or I just, if you were able to jump rope, I'm sure you jump roped, is what I'm trying to say. If you were sick or you couldn't, then you couldn't. But we're talking about jump rope. We used to just jump rope. And I loved jump roping. And you tried to make the hoop shorter, the loop when it was going around, and then you'd stretch it out. And then you did double dutch, remember that? Where two people had the ropes around their waists and did that, and somebody was jumping in between the ropes. That was pretty cool. I know I did it, but I can't imagine that I did. But I did. And then there was another, we used to do cats in the cradle with the jump ropes, too. And that was kind of fun. So, I have to tell you a story about the jump rope, though. You have to promise not to laugh, because it was not funny at the time. It's sort of amusing now. Anyway, I was jumping rope. And I was jumping my heart away. All of a sudden, my underpants hurt my ankles. Just saying. That's what happened to me. I bet I never jump roped again in my life. That probably contributed to my insecurity and feeling like I couldn't do anything right. I couldn't even jump rope with my underpants falling. Can you imagine? I don't remember, how I got them up or how I recovered from that. But I do remember being mortified and saying, oh. I don't know how old I was, but I remember it. I remember the incident. I don't remember before or after, but I remember how I felt then. And it was kind of incredulous and embarrassing and humiliating. Goodness knows if my underwear was clean. Who knows? Then we used to play jump rope. Not jump rope. I already talked about jump rope. Red Rover, Red Rover. And yeah, we did a lot of that. I'm trying to think. Was it Red Rover, let Kathy come over? And was it with the ropes that you swung back and forth? I think there was something about that, tossing a person, back and forth. But I don't know if that was with Red Rover or if that was just jump ropes or whatever. But will you tell me in the comments, please? Because I bet there's some of you that remember. What I chose to do is I chose to do this totally from memory. So there's probably a lot of things that I couldn't think of, that I didn't think of, and that you'll remember. Just like with the dolls. The dolls, you came up with some awesome ones that I didn't even, I remembered when you mentioned them. Except someone said they had a skin doll that was from the 40s or 50s, and I never heard of a skin doll. So that was one I never heard of. But all the other ones, for the most part, I did. There were also some karate dolls that somebody mentioned that I had never heard of. But anyway, the point of what I'm trying to say is you probably know what I'm talking about, except I can't remember what I was talking about. I think I was talking about Red Rover, Red Rover. And initially when I was thinking Red Rover, I was thinking there was 2 lines and you would call someone over. But then I had this flashback of somebody being tossed in a circle of rope somehow, back and forth, kind of nothing violent. Then we used to have this string game called Cats in the Cradle. Oh, I was going to do a demonstration, but of course I didn't think of it while I'm recording. And these elastics are too small. But I used to love doing Cats in the Cradle, and I can still do that. I can't do all of the things that you could do, but I had fun doing that, and it was pretty awesome. I know that there was, when my children were small, there were books about the Cats in the Cradle, and they were like, it was like a kit, and they told you how to play, and they told you the story of Cats in the Cradle, and that sort of thing. But we used to just do it with a piece of yarn or a piece of string, and it was fun. You could do it with 4 fingers. You could do it all different ways. It was a lot of fun. Do you remember that one? In the winter, we used to slide down the snowbankings. It seems as though, and I don't know if it was because we were young or we were small, but the snowbankings seemed so big. I think that they probably were, because I think we used to get a lot more snow than we do now. But we used to make trails with our feet in the snowbanking and zoom down on our feet. I wouldn't have the guts to do that now because I'd be afraid of falling, but we never fell that I know of. And we had a lot of fun. And then was there King of the Mountain? That just came to me when I was talking about us not falling on top of the snowbank. And then I said, oh, King of the Mountain. So those are just some. No, did I say kickball? I didn't talk about kickball. Kickball was one of my favorite things. And I don't think we played a lot of kickball in the schoolyard. And I don't want to talk too much about it because we're going to do a whole other thing on what we used to do when we went home after school and how we played outside. So we'll talk about kickball then, because we did that. Anyway. So after school, now this is after we've had our recess and we've been out there playing jacks and marbles and jump rope and red rover and kickball and Cats in the Cradle, then we have to go to the garage across the street that sells penny candy for the walk home. Yeah, because we had to walk. We had to walk. Kids nowadays, they mock us and they say, yes, we had to walk through the snowstorms and the rain and the sleet. We had to walk 2 miles. Yeah, we did. So be quiet about it. We did, and we're proud of it. That's why we're stronger. We're not afraid of an awful lot, us old folks. Anyway, so I don't know. I cannot remember how much money I had. It doesn't come back to me. But what comes back to me is going into this gas station that had penny candy. I'm sure they had other candy. But we would get the penny candy. And what I did as I was preparing for this, I said, no, don't look it up. Just talk about what you remember, and then they'll start remembering things that they remember that I missed. So that's your job, is to tell us in the comments all the things that I didn't talk about, like the games we played in the schoolyard, and now the penny candy. So the first one that I remember is nonpareils. You remember nonpareils? You can buy them now. They're wicked expensive. But we used to get them for a penny, and I don't know if it was just 1 for a penny or 5 for a penny or something, because we got some good deals on our penny candy. Then I remember the pink lipstick. It was pink, like a rosy pink, maybe like cherries in the snow kind of pink, and it had a gold foil on the bottom. And it tasted really good. It was lipstick candy, so it should taste good. But I can almost remember the taste of it. It was pretty cool. So I always liked that. And then the other thing is, in those days, everybody smoked. Your parents smoked. You'd go out to eat, they're smoking. Everybody was smoking. And no, my throat isn't raspy because I have never smoked a day in my life. I tried. I tried one time in the ladies' room of the movie theater when I was a teenager. And it didn't work out so well. I didn't like the smoke going up my nose and down my throat and stuff. And so I discovered that I couldn't inhale. And that was the end of that. I had no interest in it whatsoever. But back to the penny candy. They were candy cigarettes. And those were cool because you could pretend that you were smoking. There were some that even had like a sugary powder in them that would, when you put them in your mouth, I think they were actually, they might have been cardboard. They would puff out some smoke. Do you remember those? Tell me if they were cardboard or if they were candy hollow tubes with the stuff in them. And then some of the names of the candy cigarettes was Target, Victory, Lucky Lights, and let's see, I have to look at my thing, and Roundup. Those were the ones that I could remember. But I'm sure there were probably other ones. You know, Marlboro, the Marlboro Man, remember the Marlboro Man, remember Lucky Strike. So they probably had dupes of those candy cigarettes. But those tasted good too. And you can get those now, but there's probably like one cigarette in the package, and it probably costs $1.25 or something. I don't know, and I'm sure it doesn't taste as good, or it's not as big. But maybe once again, that it seemed like it was a decent sized thing. But we were younger, we were smaller. I don't know. Go figure. Okay. Bullseyes. Now, those are from our era. And yes, you could buy those with penny candy. And they're good. You can still buy them. And you all know that I'm kind of addicted to candy. I have to tell you this before I go any further. I didn't have any internet this weekend. I still don't as I'm doing this. I'm very frustrated because I'm afraid I won't be able to get a video out to you on Monday because they're not coming to fix my internet until Tuesday. I'm going to have to get something more reliable than that because I miss you. I want you to be able to come, and I'm praying that they will fix it. Anyway. I can't remember what I was going to say. I'll keep going through the candies and maybe it'll come back to me. Remember Cherry Pits? How about Bit of Honey? I think you can still get those too. Oh, so I'm thinking of Bit of Honey. Remember the squirrel nuts? The little, and then the nougats? I made some nougats for Christmas. They weren't real nougats, but they were with vanilla, white chocolate chips, and dots. Remember dots? And they were all cut up, and it was really good. Maybe at Christmas time I'll do a demonstration if you're still around. Anyway, Jawbreakers. All those colored balls. You probably could have played marbles with those. Anyway, and the Jawbreakers had layers and layers and layers of stuff. It took a long time to make just one Jawbreaker. I never knew that. But, so Jawbreakers. I wasn't that into Jawbreaker. I know what I was talking about. I'm addicted to candy. But I don't remember where I was going with that. Anyway, remember the red licorice strings, the shoestrings? I think that's what we call them. I love red licorice. I like black licorice too. I think you could buy the Twizzlers individually and the black licorice. A lot of people don't like black licorice. What's wrong with you? It's really good. Then there was the candy necklaces and candy bracelets. Those were pretty cool. And I bet you remember this one. Remember the candy dots on the piece of paper? And each one of those dots was a piece of candy. So you got tons of candy for a penny. I mean, that was a good deal. Now you probably have to pay $1.25 for one half of that. I'll let you know because I'm going with my friend Ann, the one who meddles with things and gives me advice about this channel, in October, November, something like that. And we're going to go to a penny candy store, and I will video all the penny candy because it's in a country store. It's called a country store or something, and it's cool. They have every kind of penny candy you can imagine. Of course, it's not a penny, but it's penny candy. And it's probably smaller than the penny candy. Anyway, remember Lick-O-Maid? This coffee's lousy. It's really cold. Remember the, what did they call them? The flavored straws. Do you remember those? Oh, I'm having another flashback while I'm talking about the flavored straws were striped, whatever, and they had like a flavored sugar in them, and you would kind of suck on them. You'd probably, there should have been a warning on those, because if you inhale those and that sugar went into your lungs, that probably wouldn't be a good thing. But I remember tipping them up and trying to eat them that way. I just had another one when I was thinking about the licorice. Remember the black licorice pipes? Well, I think they had red ones too. I like that. That just came to me in a flash, like out of nowhere. What about cow's tails? Well, we already talked about bullseye and the same kind of thing. We'll just pat. Oh, here's one. You remember the wax teeth? Confess, did you ever get wax teeth? Did you get wax lips? If you got wax lips, you didn't have to wear lipstick. You didn't have to have Botox in your lips or whatever they do, because they were pretty voluptuous lips. A lot of people got them and then they chewed the wax. It was just colored wax, soft, and of course it had a place where you could hold the lips in your mouth with your teeth, and that eventually, wore down and broke away. So you had to decide if you were going to throw out the lips or if you were going to chew them. I was going to say I don't think I would chew them, but I actually feel like I remember chewing the lips. And then the teeth, they had like fangs. How about Fun Dip? Remember the little packet? Originally, when they were made, they were just a packet of candy-flavored sugar. And you were supposed to wet your finger and stick it in. And then they decided that was really kind of gross. So then they developed these hard candy things. And so the Lick-O-Maid came in a package with the candy and then this other piece of candy, kind of like a sweet tart almost. Sweet tarts. That's another one that's not on my list. See, so you're going to come up with tons more than that I could think of just off the cuff in half an hour. Remember The circus peanuts, the orange peanuts, I can smell those. I still like those when I see them. They were banana flavored, kind of like marshmallow, dense marshmallow. But I like those. I like those. And they come out every so often. I think they still have those. Necco wafers. Necco wafers doesn't sound like it was a penny candy, but it was probably sold where the penny candy was, because now I'm thinking lifesavers and I'm thinking all other kinds of things, and I don't want to get off the track because I want to cover that stuff another time. How about hot balls? I loved hot balls. I still love hot balls. Why I love hot balls, I don't know. Well, they're hot, and they're sweet, and they last a long time, and you can bite them and destroy your teeth. That's probably not a good thing. How about Tootsie Rolls? Okay. I think we've had enough, but you have some homework. You have to let me know in the comments, and everyone else, because everybody reads the comments and they want to know what games you used to play in elementary school. I know that I only covered a few because that's all I could think of in my pea brain. I didn't want to look it up because I wanted to do it just from memory, and I wanted it so that you would remember things that I didn't, so you'd have a job to do. So try and write down all the things, all the games you used to play in the schoolyard. Elementary school. Only elementary school. Don't do high school. Don't do junior high or whatever the heck that was. Only elementary school and the schoolyard. That's all. And your next assignment is to make a list of penny candy that you liked, that you remember at the store. Because, Laffy Taffy. Did I say that one? Anyway, make a list of the candy that you remember buying at the penny candy store. No candy bars. Penny candy. Got it? Okay. So we're going to talk about all those other things like candy bars and stuff at another time. So, thank you for coming for coffee and for commenting down below, and for those of you who are new, for subscribing, because I'm sure that you will. And please like and make sure you come back tomorrow for coffee, because who knows what's in store tomorrow. My mind is going like a whirling dervish.